Hello and welcome to Mr. Thompson's Math Tutorials. Today we're going to be using unit rates to solve some problems. So here's a problem right here. Horace has traveled 300 kilometers in 3 hours, and if he continues at the same rate, how long will it take him to travel 600 kilometers? In any rate problem, I'm going to give you 3 of the 4 pieces of information that are in the problem. Here's one piece of information right here, which is the 300 kilometers, 3 hours, and then 600 kilometers. And what I need to do is set up a proportional relationship to solve for the missing 4th piece of information. So I'm going to set up a fraction with my rate. So I can see that Horace traveled 300 kilometers in 3 hours. I'm going to put the 300 kilometers in the numerator of my fraction and 3 hours in the denominator. And then I'm going to set up a proportionally equal fraction with 600 kilometers in the numerator and hours in the denominator. I'm going to match my kilometers to kilometers and hours to hours. Now I need to look at what do I need to multiply 300 to get 600. Now this is a pretty easy question because the answer is 2. I'm going to multiply 300 times 2 and I'll get 600. 300 and 2, 300 and this times 2 are factors which give us 600. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing to keep the relationship proportional. And if I multiply the top by 2, I need to multiply the bottom by 2. So 3 times 2 gives us 6. So it'll take 6 hours. And of course I write my answer up here. So it will take Horace 6 hours to drive 600 kilometers. Let's look at another example. Horace traveled 300 kilometers in 3 hours. So I'm using that same 300 kilometers in 3 hours. If he continues at this rate, how far will he travel in 5 hours? Now I can do the same pattern. I can set up 2 proportional relationships. I can have 300 kilometers over 3 hours and then 5 hours down here and then some number of kilometers. And in fact there is a number I can multiply times 3 that will give me 5. It's 5/3, which is not the easiest thing to multiply. I can do it. I can multiply 3 times 5/3 and it'll give me 5, and then I can multiply 300 times 5/3 and that'll give me some number of kilometers, but that can be a bit complicated. Another way that you might want to do this is to set up a unit rate. A unit rate is a rate that's out of one sort of measurement. In this case it's going to be 1 hour. So I'm asking, if he's going 300 kilometers in 3 hours, how much can he go in 1 hour? And then I can use that to solve how far he can go in 5 hours. So let's see how I do this. I'm going to start by figuring out my unit rate, which in this case would be 100 kilometers in 1 hour. I do this by dividing 300 by 3 and then also dividing 3 hours by 3. Again, this is a proportional relationship, so I need to do the same thing to the top and same thing to the bottom. Then I'm going to use that unit rate to help solve how far he can get in 5 hours. I'm going to multiply this 100 kilometers times 5 and this 1 hour times 5. Again, proportionally, I'm multiplying by the same thing every time. And that'll tell me that Horace will travel 500 kilometers in 5 hours. Thank you for watching.